Hi, my name is Tom Blake. I am a certified residential specialist with REMAX Liberty, and I am sitting here with...
I'm Brieanna Kelley. I'm a producing branch manager at AnnieMac Mortgage in Westminster, Mass.
Brie and I have been getting together on camera now for, gosh, it's got to be like a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah,
We're trying to figure out,
Time flies when you're having fun.
It really does. It really does. And learning all the way, as it turns out, right? So we have been trying to figure out, and we're just going to kind of do this in real time on camera, how to best answer the very simple question that we get all the time, which is, how's the market? And people, right? You get asked, how's the market all the time, right? Like, and how do you, so I almost standard answer, it depends, because
Always
it demands a lot. So like, yeah. Let's start with what it depends on, right? So, well, okay, so let me go back on that first. So what you're really asking when you say how is the market as a rule is, from your standpoint, how's the market been? What's changing now? Where's it going? And how's that going to affect me? Is it a good time to buy or sell right now? It's really about you, right?
Yeah, and your individual needs.
And your individual needs, right?
Wants, needs, all of that, yeah.
All right, so would be fair to say that supply and demand is a good place to start, right?
Absolutely.
Like, okay, so there's a bunch of different, so we talked a lot about this off camera first to like try to dial in how we were gonna manage this.
Yep.
And there's your side of it, which is the mortgage side of it, and then there's my side of it, which is the inventory side of it, right? So if we look at supply, I would be the inventory. And if we look at demand, there's a couple metrics on my side, but that's mostly you.
Right.
Right? So, what do you want to talk about? So I've got this lovely set of, do you want to look at the demand metrics? Do you want to talk first? Do you want me to talk first?
Yeah, so if we talk about demand, it has to do with, we talked about before, everybody's individual want, needs, and things like that. So a lot of things that we look for demand is how many people are in the market that want to purchase, how many people can purchase, which is very important. So we look at things like, we have metrics internally that we look at how many credit pulls have been done, how many pre-approvals are out there, how many qualified pre-approvals, because just because there's a number of applications coming in doesn't mean that everybody qualifies or qualifies for the amount of the type of property they want to purchase. So for example,
that's a big part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're in the market and you want to buy a certain type of property, but I can only pre-approve you for a certain dollar amount, and that those specifications don't exist for that property, you're going to run into an issue. So for example, I want to buy I want to buy a $500,000 house, but my budget is $350,000.
Can I chime in on that one?
Of course.
Yeah. So there's definitely a buyer mismatch in terms of their understanding of,
right,
like what buys what, right?
Exactly.
So what you really want is a colonial with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a garage, maybe a 2-car garage, and you need to be able to afford that, right? That's important, right?
Correct.
So mortgage applications, are you seeing more qualified mortgage applications at the moment than last year?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I do feel like, well, I'm going to actually preface it with 2 pieces of information on that.
Okay.
Because we've had an influx, we talked about this quickly, but there's been some media out there regarding the $25,000 down payment assistance with mass housing, which has created an influx of applications for people that want to be able to try to utilize that. Unfortunately, with that comes with, greater application volume, but also maybe less qualified in that bracket. And it's not anything to do with maybe that they're not qualified in general. And some of them are, unfortunately, we work through that process, but it's also the conversation of, you want to qualify for what we just talked about. You want a $500,000 house, but you qualify for a $350,000 house.
Right, okay.
So yes, I've definitely been seeing an uptick in applications. Part of it is too, the rates are we'll touch upon that too, but the interest rates are still down from where they were before. So
yeah, technically, so it's interesting, right? So we're hearing all this information coming at us from a national level about how expensive everything. You're seeing it at the pump right now, right?
Gosh,
there's people are feeling squeezed right now, and interestingly, like nationally right now, mortgage applications are up.
Yep.
And rates are down year over year. Like it's actually
Correct.
less expensive to buy a house right now, but all the ancillary costs, right? So
Yes. And I mean, that's a big part of that conversation is because when we start talking numbers, we were talking about this before. So just because you qualify for A doesn't mean you want to spend that.
right.
Right. And then you have the other side of it is what are the different costs that are going to be could shift within that purchase.
Yeah.
You know, homeowners insurance, the HOA fees for condos or things like that. So all of these things that kind of factor in to that entire amount of the demand, right? So
Right.
the demand for what type of properties, where are the properties? That's definitely something that we've been seeing. And you know, I got to tell you, the last few months, I've done ton first-time home buyers.
First time, really, a lot of first time home buyers,
First-time
really.
home buyers, and it wasn't like that for a while, or
Okay.
wasn't first-time home buyers that were younger, and that sounds because the average
Interesting.
age of someone purchasing a home is like in their 30s at this point.
Okay.
So a lot of these were 25 and under.
No kidding. That's interesting. And were they using the down payment
Yes,
assistance
some of the
program?
down payment they were using the
Okay.
down payment assistance, but they didn't necessarily need it. They were
Huh.
able to take advantage of it though.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an interesting, like, forward-looking dynamic right now. So she's seeing an influx of younger buyers. Just for fun, can you share like what kind of price ranges they're thinking about?
About 350
350-ish?
to 400.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's 100% a starter home. They were definitely further west.
Further west.
Correct than like Westminster, for example. So there was definitely that. So locale was definitely
Okay.
a factor.
Huh.
And there were also houses that maybe needed some more TLC. So a lot of these properties
Yeah.
were
Yep.
attached to maybe someone elderly moving out of a house that was trying
Couldn't
to sell
hold it, yeah,
estate.
right. Okay.
Some of these things. So there's definitely some factors in that, but it was also a lot of conversation about the younger the younger people that were purchasing trades. They were all in the trades, most of them.
Huh.
Right?
So that's interesting. So it's being offset by a person who would be qualified to own a distressed house.
Correct.
That's interesting. Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah, a distressed house with the side of making decent money, not with a ton of college debt. So it's a weird shift because that's probably
Yeah,
the last
no,
5
yeah.
years that I have.
Yeah.
It's been different. It was definitely people coming out of college, making money, but the college debt was offsetting so much of what their income was.
Yeah, they also couldn't turn a screwdriver. They were looking for.
I might have one of those children, but that's yeah.
No, there was a real drive and a real premium paid for move-in ready.
Oh yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And I think that's
So-
why the average age was higher because they didn't have the ability to fix it.
Okay.
Or the want.
Uh-huh.
That's another thing. They didn't have the want to fix it with the side of like they wanted move-in ready, and HGTV is, I don't know, it's done us some disservice at this point.
Yeah,
but,
a little bit. It's a little
yeah.
harder than it looks, actually.
I would love a move-in ready,
There's a crew of like 20 people behind that makes it look a lot easier than
I
it
know,
really
right?
is.
And that's a great angle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's
yeah.
interesting.
And like open houses are still busy. Open houses are still happening.
They are. Yeah. I mean, so I'm seeing good turnout at open.
I am too.
Here's what I'm definitely seeing though. People don't want to get in a bidding war.
Nope.
They don't want. So as this. Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there. It is still a seller's market. Okay,
Oh, yes.
It's very much a seller's market. I can quantify that all day long, even though it might feel like a buyer's market to some people. It's not. But there are buyers definitely have some more leverage. They are also being much more careful,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
if they go to an open house and they see 40 people at that open house, the people that are unusually qualified for that, unless they desperately want that house,
Yeah.
are going to lay back and see if it goes off the market in 15 seconds because they don't want to
They're
overpay
waiting.
for it.
Absolutely.
They're waiting.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it. And they'll even
Yeah.
call me and be like, "Hey, you ran numbers for me," because I have conversations before people
Without a
go
doubt.
look, and they were like, "Yeah, there were like 40 people in there. I'm not even bothering."
Yeah, we're not even bothering, right?
And I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
Yeah.
And they'll wait.
They will.
say that there was 40 people in there,
Yep.
and there was no offers, or
Yep.
for whatever reason it fell apart. Then they'll go back and
Yep.
think about it.
As your agent, if I was representing you as a buyer right now, if I, from a strategic standpoint, I would absolutely be recommending that you look for houses that have been on the market for 2 to 3 weeks. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
And you,
Yep.
there's definitely, yes, it's still a seller's market, but there's definitely more I don't know, there's like more equal participation in how that is negotiated.
Without a doubt. And so you might so we're so used to a seller's market where sellers can just like throw out any number like they're just like like it's confetti, and they say yeah, absolutely, I'm gonna get $50,000 over this in 10 seconds, right? So not so much anymore. However, it's important to understand that, and this is funny, it's not the deal you get, it's the deal you think you get. So I'm gonna back, so we're talking about supply and we're talking about demand today. As far as supply is concerned,
This is great data.
yeah, so interestingly, at the moment in Worcester County, there is actually 20% more supply. There is. But that supply is getting absorbed because there are more people that are coming into the market. They are, the rate is down from last year. We actually have higher pending sales, right?
Yes.
So, and interestingly, this is where, so sellers still have this thing going on in their head that they can ask whatever they want. And statistically, and actually the number very specifically here is 21.69%, but usually it hovers around 30%. Usually 30% of listings need a price change before they actually sell, which means currently sellers feel confident enough to go out there and say, I want X, let's see if we can get it. Still knowing that their property is eventually going to sell.
Right.
Right? And right now, on the it's only the 36 days on market, right, to offer. So the average house is gone in about a month, a little bit more than a month, right? That is not your daddy's market from pre-COVID at all. It could have been 6 months to a year before you saw one person come through the house, right?
Oh, and that's also not what you're hearing on the national news, which is very important. So like, a lot of the time will people like, well, I watched, Good Morning America this morning and they said that this is this. And I was like, So, and we've talked about this before. New England has its own market.
It does.
Massachusetts
we are pretty insulated.
We are. And we definitely have our own dynamic and how that works.
Yeah.
So
If you look at the Case-Shiller index, I think it is, there's only 7 years out of the last like 96 or something stupid that we have actually gone down, and down wasn't much, and it was 5 of those years happened in the credit crisis, and all of those, you can speak to this, right? So with the revisions in how credit's managed and how pre-approvals go, like the foreclosure rate right now is like 2%. So let's be very clear, everybody, there's no crash coming.
No.
There's no glut of incredibly cheap inventory. You don't want that anyway, because if that happens, the house that you're currently in plummets in value too, and it tanks the economy. You don't want that to happen.
No.
Don't wish for that. It's not good.
No. That also means there's some auxiliary things happening too, like job losses and things like that. So
we are seeing some of that.
We are seeing some of that. Absolutely.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, the inventory is remaining quite strong and pretty consistent with last year. The interest rates are better than last year. The days on market are pretty similar. Now, this is an interesting statistic, right? So the original average list price right now in Worcester County is $633,000-ish, right? And last year it was $628. So that's pretty consistent, but they're still asking more, right? They're still asking more. And the closeout price, the average sale price, is still $10,000 higher than it was last year. It's actually $565. So note that number, right? So the average original list asking price is what, $60,000 above what they actually sell for, right? So they tend to go pending, interestingly, at $577, right? So that means that the $633,000 house comes back to about $577,000, and then there might be $10,000 in concessions. Yes, concessions are back on the table, everybody.
Yes, they are.
To settle out at $565. So buyers definitely have some leverage in this market. They're not throwing contingencies out. They're not buying it without a home inspection. They're not waiving mortgage contingencies. They don't have to. A smart buyer has a distinct advantage against a greedy seller right now.
Correct.
They do.
Correct.
And a smart seller has a great, pool of people to play with if they want to.
Exactly. So I think it's not balanced yet because it's still a seller's market, but there is a little bit more, I feel like.
Negotiation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus, I mean, she's during COVID. I'm like, they just throw the kitchen sink at that
They
transaction
did.
and
They
just.
did. It was nuts.
And unfortunately, what's starting to happen now is like I'm some of the people that like, you know, they bought houses back then. They're like, man, I probably should have had a home inspection, but they weren't getting offers accepted with that. Now they have to have like that the rules have changed on
the
that.
rules. Yeah, that's a completely different story. That's another video.
That's
right?
another video.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
I think that
it's a fair thing.
It's a fair thing.
It's a fair
and I think
thing.
it's an education thing, and I think that's really important.
I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
If you live in Massachusetts, you are entitled to a home inspection. A
Mm-hmm.
seller cannot, and some people may not know this, you cannot accept an offer without offering the buyer a home inspection of your home now.
Yep.
You know, can't.
Yep.
So, we are going to be exploring how's the market probably over the next 3 or 4 videos, like try to really dial it in,
Right.
and then maybe highlight some specific metrics along the
Absolutely.
way. Brie, so if you were to look at the demand metrics, so we're looking at demand metrics of pending sales, mortgage applications, mortgage pre-approval volume,
Yep.
showing activity, and open house traffic. Of those things, like if you were to highlight something right now, is there anything that sticks out in your head that you see as most pertinent?
I think everything is busy.
Everything's busy. Okay.
And that's the best way I can describe it. Like,
Okay.
I feel like mortgage applications are up. I feel like the pre-approvals are up. I feel like the people vetting the numbers are up.
Okay.
So, but also the open houses that I've helped out at, it's been busy.
Yeah.
And again, I will say, like, depending on the tier of what you are in purchase price range,
100%.
that does
Yeah,
make a difference.
That does make a big difference.
But I did one not that long ago, and it was a higher price property, and it was actually still very busy in there. So the market is still driving people to look to buy and sell. And it was kind of that conversation. This particular one of the people that came through was like, yeah, I want to sell my house and I want to buy this house.
Yep.
And again, it has to do with, is your family getting bigger? Are you downsizing? Do you need to move for work? Do you just...
there's all kinds of reasons.
So there's all these
Baby.
different reasons. Oh yeah, yep. So I think, I mean, the demand is always going to be there for different reasons.
Yeah.
But I find that people are just resolute with kind of what's been going on with mortgage rates, and they're like, listen, the rates are going to be the rates. And then you go and, you know, you're renting a property.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like so the rates aren't coming down anytime soon.
No.
They really aren't. Actually, we're very, very lucky at the moment that the rates aren't 7.5. Because if the mortgage spread was what it was a year ago,
Yes.
and the year before that,
It
we would be at like 7.5 or 8% right now.
Again,
so
yep.
We're actually really lucky with what's happening in the current economy in
crazy
terms
as
of the
that
rates
sounds,
being,
yeah.
capped under that 6.75 mark.
Correct.
It really is.
Yep.
I mean, sorry, I just went off topic. I'm the
No, but
inventory
that's
guy.
true.
Sorry about that.
No, but that's right. That makes sense, though. But that also drives inventory,
It drives
right?
inventory.
Because people are like, you know what? Forget it.
I
The
can
rates
afford
aren't
it.
going to come down.
Right.
I'm going to sell my house. I need to do this.
That's right. That's right. They're resolute, like what Brie just said.
Yeah.
They're getting
not
to the point.
waiting.
They're not waiting anymore.
Yeah.
Certainly, the fact that it spiked from 6.25 or whatever it was, and closer to 6 up to that 6.75 mark,
Right.
definitely slowed things down a little bit.
It did. Backed people off some.
It did.
Yeah. But I also had those same people in the market. They was like, oh, maybe we'd adjust the purchase price a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we'll go back to where we were. And some people were like, you know what? We'll be okay.
Yeah. And speaking of like your higher price property that you were at, like, it's not so in the specific tier that you're in, people see the value in the house if it's priced correctly. There's a
Yes.
person out there that can afford your house, but if you go out there at a dumb price that's just like this awful greedy number, you will pay for it with days on market and eventually just negotiating against one buyer who takes you to the cleaners.
Exactly.
So-
and this particular agent priced it very well.
That's why it was busy there.
very well.
That's why it
very
was
well
busy
priced.
there.
Yeah. And I also think, I mean, we've talked about this before, but also
Yep.
dealing with experts in the field, you want to make sure that you have
yeah.
people that are also going to give you sound advice.
Yep.
So when you are listing a property or looking to put an
Yep.
offer on a property, they're giving you the data.
Yeah.
And we were saying this earlier, like at the end of the day, facts don't have feelings. Yes,
They do not.
yes, this job has a lot of
very
feelings,
emotional, very
but you
emotional
need
job.
the facts to be able to make the
That's right.
decisions behind buying, selling, and all of the things. So
You do.
it's very important.
I think that's really well said, and I think since we're at the 20-minute mark, that's a really good place. Should we leave it there?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Oh, we have so much information to share in different times, so be here all day.
Yeah, we could.
And excuse my mom outfit for the day. My daughter had a baseball game that we went to, and I got to chaperone with her. Many screaming children all at once. I was like, oh, shucks, I have to go home now.
She wears many, many hats, in a good, yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
So.
but at least we talk about the dynamic, right? We kind of get the best of the both worlds of being real life people that live in this community and understand what's going on behind it. So, yeah.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Thanks for listening. If you got all the way to the end of this, go ahead, introduce yourself again. Make sure.
I'm Brieanna Kelley with AnnieMac Mortgage, and my information will be below.
And my name is Tom Blake. I am with REMAX Liberty. I'm a certified residential specialist, and I will also have information down below in the comments. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.
See you next week.